Well, you get a different perspective of the Oregon Hill neighborhood when you're on top of the church building looking down. Normally, for most of us, we're walking on the street level, and when you're on the street level, you're down below and you're looking from below. You see everything at eye level. You see the street signs, and you see the road, and you see your immediate surroundings. But when you get up high and you're looking down like I am now, well, you see the top of buildings and you see the top of the houses, and you get a broader vision of everything around you. I can see down the streets a little bit, and I can see people walking at a distance, and I can see cars coming, and just a little bit larger layout of the neighborhood all at once. Perspective makes a big difference when you see things differently. Well, sometimes in our lives, we don't see the bigger picture of things. We see things on the street level. That's where most of life is lived. We see things up close. We don't see down the road because our vision is limited. We only see the immediate circumstances. We can't see what tomorrow will bring. In fact, we can't even see what the next moment will bring for us. What's around the next corner? Well, that's always an unknown. And so we have to live in the present moment. And for most of us, that can be nerve-wracking at times because we want to know what is around the corner, what's down the street. Well, as a people of faith, that's where faith comes in. We have to trust in God to help us when we are uncertain about what's down the street, around the corner, down the block. Because life is a mystery. Life is uncertain, for sure, and we never know what tomorrow will bring. So we're dependent upon our faith in God to know that God can see the bigger picture. He sees more than we see and understands more than we understand. In fact, in the book of the prophet Isaiah, we find these words: "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." You see, as we live out our lives, we have to trust that God can and does see the bigger picture. And faith is about trusting in God's judgment and God's perspective when we can't see what we really want to see. And know that God desires the good and the best in our lives, and that our God is a loving God. Doesn't mean that everything works out perfect for us in our lives, because we know it doesn't. But we can trust that God is seeing beyond what we can see, and that God is working to try to bring the best for our lives in a broken world where there are potholes in the streets and detours along the way and bridges that are out. But in the midst of all the uncertainty and the unknown that we live in our lives, we know that God's ways are greater than our ways. His understanding is unsearchable, and that He can see more than we can see. And that has to be enough for us. And we also know that down on the street level, where we're walking, where we're struggling at times to find our way, that God is also present there with us as well. Because you see, that's where God came in Jesus to live with us on the streets, in the midst of everyday life. He came to walk with us side by side, hand in hand, in the midst of all those uncertainties. So God knows what it's like to walk in our shoes, to live our lives. And He understands what it's like to live when you can't see around the corner. So as we live in the streets and on the streets, we have a God who knows what it's like to be down here, and we have a God who can see it from up there. And between the two, that's a God that we can trust in. God bless.